Battlefield is going back to the future. Jermaine Clement is present in the new Dark Alliance trailer. And Bob Odenkirk kicked some serious ass in my review of Nobody. All that and the latest and everything cool today in the Rundown. Hey, welcome to the Rundown, a very special episode of the Rundown. It's good to see everybody in the chat. We've got Behr Safi joining me again. It's been way too long, my friend. How are you doing?
Way too long, Vic. I'm doing great. How are you doing? I'm so happy to be here. I'm just talking games and to kind of get out of this crazy pandemic that we're almost near the tail end of.
I'm sick of this place. I want to leave this room. I want to go. I like all these things behind me, but I want to get out of my basement.
That's called reviews on the run half the time. I've not been on the run recently.
It has been fun to keep myself occupied with, all kinds of different news to talk about and all the reviews and the interviews and stuff. So that's been good, at least.
Yeah, I mentioned, I think the last time I was here a few months ago, I never looked at gaming and movies as an escape, but this was the first time in my life that this has really been such a great escape for me. I've been so grateful to have this as a hobby and as a passion, because I meet people right now who are, just punching themselves with not knowing what to do sitting at home. But yeah, luckily, we've got all this entertainment to at least keep us half sane during these final few months. So
yeah, well, we've got a lot of it to talk about today. Actually, it's we're in the middle of the weirdest E3 season ever devised, with lots of little bits and pieces percolating. It's kind of, I think, going to be a little bit easier to recap stuff, though, because of this. Because when they compress everything into 3 days, like we do every other E3, it's exhausting to try to disseminate all of that and to figure out what's happening. It's going to be a little bit easier today. Welcome to the show, Blair Farrell and Peter Kokazar and 777 and Alpha Cat. The Ren is here. Good evening, ladies and gents, he says. Always polite, that Ren person.
The EP family is the best, man.
EP family is the best, man. This is the best chat on the internet. Oh, Goku is here. Fantastic. All right. Well, we've got a great show lined up for you. It is dedicated to our friend Ozzy Do, who had this to say: "It's shocking how similar the art to the game is. I don't see how Capcom wins this. It's another big company exploiting the hard work done by others." And, I don't know so much if Capcom did that on purpose. Trying to... likely it was done by someone. It wasn't like a corporate decision to do... If they did borrow that art, because it still has to be proven, right? It's all sort of a lawsuit. But you read about that, right? The Capcom art that was used in the Resident Evil game and logo. Crazy, right?
Yeah, I really don't know, as we keep going on and there's more and more art in the world, how, eventually I feel like some lines are going to get crossed down the road.
Right.
It's going to be a bit of it's not a good look for Capcom, especially, I feel like they've been on a real high recently, with all their releases. All their games have been great. Yeah. And I hope that this doesn't really tarnish anything. I hope that this wasn't done on purpose.
Yeah, and it was done a while ago. I mean, all of it is like we're crafting excuses because we love Capcom.
Yes,
what they have to
do,
they make millions of dollars. They have to make this right. They have to make it right with this person and with the fans that love them. And they need to set up some disciplines. But you're also correct. Like the database of art in the world is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's one thing to take influence from stuff, but it's a whole other thing to lift copyrighted work and just stick it into something that you resell,
Absolutely.
That's a bit
This
crazy.
is why I think the NFT market and all this craziness that's happening is only getting bigger with all these digital pieces of art now being sold. But...
Do you want to explain non-fungible tokens to the audience today?
I don't
You have the floor. Do it.
I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough to give a great description. But all I'm saying is, if I have a picture of Victor Lucas's face,
yes,
I can potentially sell that for $50,000 somewhere on the internet. So.
I don't know. My face has been on too many screens for too damn long, my friend. I'm a tarnished commodity. I'm very fungible.
No, that's not true. You still owe me a mask, by the way.
Oh, I do. Yes.
You still owe me one of those famous Victor Lucas COVID masks.
Yes. Okay.
You're purposely hiding from me.
I promise you'll get one of those. Hey, but listen, this episode of The Rundown is brought to us, to all of us, by our sponsors at the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation. You can catch up with them every weekend. They've got lots of cool things going on, and you can find out more at tgs.gg. Okay, let's get started with The Rundown. The big news today, of course, is that Battlefield 2042 is being made by DICE, and it's going to be coming out this October. They had a really beautiful trailer today to showcase the madness that this game is set to provide. It's got 128 players on the current gen systems. If you go backwards compatible, or if you go to the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, I think the player count drops down to 64 players. But what did you think of this Battlefield 2042 trailer, my friend?
Vic, their campaign, the Only in Battlefield moments, they really took it to a whole new level with this trailer. I don't know if you're aware of that campaign, that they have all these clips that they grab and they call them the Only in Battlefield moments, where you can, jump off of a plane and potentially get on someone else's plane or bomb someone's plane in midair. They took that whole campaign and just turned it into a multi-million-dollar trailer, and I absolutely loved it. I loved how crazy and over the top this trailer was. It was just out of this world completely. And again, they're going with the future take. It's been a little while, I feel like, up until I think it was Battlefield 4 that was the last one that was in the future. So it's been a little while. I don't know why, Vic, and you let me know why I get more excited for Battlefield titles over Call of Duty titles. It might be the fact that they actually take a break between each release, and there's time for us to get excited about it. But I also just feel like we got to give a little bit of props to DICE. I think that they've just mastered the atmosphere of being in the war environment with, now it's going to be over 100 and something players.
128.
Absolutely excited. Yeah, absolutely excited. And
they have more competition now, though, in this multiplayer only space, because that's the big deal, right? They dropped the single player campaign. I guess they have the statistics and the analytics to determine how much people really do care about the single player game. And obviously all of these multiplayer experiences are set to be persistent, and there is this sense, and I don't mean to be dismissive or reductive here, but there is this sense like they opened the Battlefield casino, this is going to make a lot of money for a very, very long time if they have the player count, and they can kind of bet against that because this franchise is so popular. But they have way more competition now with Call of Duty Warzone. Fortnite is still rocking it. They just released a trailer with Superman in. I don't even know what the hell's going on in Fortnite anymore.
Fortnite's got everything. It's got Star Wars, it's got Marvel, it's got almost anything you can imagine. It's got Street Fighter. I wonder what Street Fighter got.
So now Battlefield has to face up against those, and PUBG is still rocking. Do you think that they will? I mean, when I see this trailer, as slick as it is, and it's not really gameplay, they're revealing more gameplay on June 13th, but as slick as this is, and somebody I follow on Twitter, I can't remember who, said that it's kind of like a Fast and Furious movie at this point, because you can control this weather. You can send the weather in to do attacks in this thing.
Well, you know what it is, Vic? I feel like Battlefield and DICE did a great job doing this early in the series. They're kind of in their own lane. You look at games like Fortnite and even Call of Duty, they're very fast-paced Twitch shooters, where I think Battlefield really glows with decision-making and just team play, really working as a team, having a squad. And it's that really slow-paced gameplay that makes you feel like you're in a war. And although this trailer didn't feel slow-paced at all, that's really what the heart of Battlefield is. And I don't know if there's much competition in that specific style of gameplay for shooters, even though there's plenty of shooters out there. I feel like Battlefield fans will always be attracted to this kind of gameplay because there's not really much like it.
And the other thing that they always do with Battlefield 2 is they just put in a tremendous amount of consideration into the vehicles. And so, piloting a chopper or a jet or racing around in some kind of a Jeep, and it looks like there's autonomous robots and stuff like that running around, which feels a little too close to home. I don't know if you heard about that drone that was autonomous and actually went out and killed somebody. That was the first, that we know of, the first recorded lighthearted thing. So it's a
the
bit
future. It's the future of war, sadly.
I know, and we're kind of. I mean, it's kind of. That's the other thing about this thing that creeps me out a little bit is that this is 20 years in the future. It's not a future I want. It could be really fun, but I mean, how horrifying is this fusion of technology and just utter destruction?
I will say, for me personally, I do love when we go back to World War I and World War II with the Battlefield games. I've never, even with Call of Duty, I've never loved the futuristic takes nearly as much as I've enjoyed the history and seeing what people may have potentially gone through in these games, especially if you play the single player campaign. So you're going to just expect bananas when it comes to the single player story and what their take on the 20 years from now is going to be. And
they're not doing the single player story.
Oh, they're not doing it at all?
No, they've dropped that out. That was the big reveal today. It's multiplayer only. Okay, but what they've added is specialists to the gameplay, like Call of Duty has done in the past, where you have these different characters. It's a hero shooter, right? So you can level up with these different specialists, and they'll keep dropping new ones in, and conceivably there'll be some online purchasable customizations and stuff like that. Will probably be fully cosmetic. We're going to learn more soon, but the specialists, I think, will come with some storytelling as part of it.
Okay.
And it's really meant to engage an active player base and get everybody going in there. And the other thing that Battlefield games always have too is that sense of scale. They've always done it, but with the technology that this one's going to have, it's going to feel massive. Like you're going to be able to fly for blocks and blocks and blocks. And when you do introduce these new technologies, it does give the designers some creative freedoms to come up with stuff that we've never seen, and the kind of sci-fi little tinges and touches there could be really, really fun.
It's crazy to think that 128 players in one lobby is becoming the norm. I don't know if you all remember a game titled Mag back for PlayStation 3, like we're now living in a world where, Mag would kind of fake the amount of players it would have. It would kind of have little sections. Yeah. But we're now playing in the future where you're actually 128 people connected to a server. And
I just keep thinking of Fortnite, like what a freaking story that game is. Like I don't play it because I don't really play a lot of these free-to-play things, and I just don't have the time. I'm always reviewing stuff, but just the idea that it's been this persistent thing, and it's becoming Ready Player One Fortnite. It's just like whatever character you could think of, go to war with it. It's incredible.
Vic, I remember you had a Fortnite interview back in 2016 when the game was kind of stuck in development hell. Mm-hmm. And if you were to tell me that this is going to be the biggest game, 3-4 years from that time, I would have called you absolutely nuts.
Well, what was weird about that Fortnite interview, and we're kind of off topic here a little bit, but it's interesting. But what was weird about that Fortnite interview is that was about the third or fourth interview that I'd had, and there was a skepticism about this thing ever coming out. I played that game back in 2013 or 2014. And it was a totally different game, and obviously PUBG came out. Yeah,
it was a co-op game.
Yeah, and even when I did that interview, it felt like they didn't know what their game was. They were just like, because it was on the last day of E3. The developer was exhausted. We'd all gone through. I was exhausted. Jose shot the thing, and I was kind of joking around and playful, like we had to kind of wake him up to do the whole thing, and it was just like, okay, is this gonna actually come out? And then boom, biggest thing ever created.
Future is so uncertain. It's crazy. Here we are now.
Yes. Well, one thing that is certain is Dungeons and Dragons will always play nice with video games. We got a nice trailer today from the Took Games version of Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, which is coming out later this month. And the thing that made this trailer very special is that one of my favorite comedians out there from Flight of the Conchords, Jermaine Clement, does the voiceover, and the way that he describes everything. I heard him talking as I was watching the trailer. I didn't know it was Jermaine Clement. And I'm like, God, that guy is really pulling a Flight of the Conchords kind of spin on all of this. It's hilarious, man.
It was a great choice. Also, I watched What We Do in the Shadows, the series, and I thought it was a great voice to really get you excited for this title. And totally, and I love that they didn't take themselves too seriously with the trailer. A lot of little jokes here and there, but I mean, we all love Dungeons and Dragons, and I think I love the fact that there's a big focus on, the co-op space, of course. That's totally what Dungeons & Dragons is about, playing with your friends. But, it kind of worries me because I don't know if we've seen too many successful melee loot type games in recent years. Kind of taking in that Destiny vibe, but except with melee combat. I know Godfall came out just last year, and that wasn't a great title, and I'm hoping this could be something special because it looks like they're putting a lot of focus just into that melee gameplay. I saw parries and just very specific types of builds you can make for your character. I mean, if this is pulled off correctly, this could be a very, very special game.
Well, what I like about it is that it kind of makes it all completely accessible. It looks a little bit like the Lord of the Rings games that had some pretty sophisticated systems, but you could just hand a controller to anybody and they would dive into that and have a lot of fun. And that goes back to Gauntlet as well, Golden Axe. Like, there's a lot of games that pull from this kind of lore that make it super twitchy and fun, and that's what this game looks like. It doesn't look like it's gonna stop all traffic and change the world, but it does look like it's going to be a blast. I like the creature designs. I like the art that they're putting into this thing.
Very playful art style, right?
Totally.
Very playful, very kind of out there. And I like that because, like you said, it's very accessible and very inviting.
Yes. So. And they make a big point about there being no microtransactions. You have to earn everything just like your grandma did. You have to keep playing. That was a Jermaine Clement line there. I was really charmed. I mean, this game looks like it's been fun. It's been on my radar, but that was like the perfect collection. And clearly, Jermaine Clement has got to be a player of some kind. I think most actors are these days, right? Like they have so much downtime waiting for their shot that I'm sure they're back in the trailer playing stuff. And this game looks like one of those kind of games.
Exactly. If Jermaine Clement, if he's the commentator or the narrator, the dungeon master throughout this whole journey, that would be amazing. I'm not sure if that's confirmed, but that, like you mentioned, just looks like a fun game that you can just invite anyone to play, and I really hope it turns out good.
It's been on my radar for a bit, but it's coming out very soon, and I will definitely be streaming it and definitely reviewing it. I can't wait. It's called Dark Alliance. Another game that I can't wait for is Bandai Namco's Scarlet Nexus. We got a new lore trailer to take a look at. Now, this is a complex kind of anime story with lots of interesting characters with different abilities and a lush astral chain kind of aesthetic, which I totally love. Did you have a chance to dig into this title at all, my friend?
No, I didn't really look too much. I mean, I did try Astral Chain, which I loved. I think that was even your game of the year.
It was, yeah.
And I know this is not related, but just as far as art style and aesthetic, it totally gave me that.
Yes.
Those same exact vibes. So really interesting. I love the fact that also a lot of these games, they've now mastered that cel-shaded style.
Yep.
They're looking better and better to really try and imitate anime. I know we'll probably talk about Guilty Gear Strive, which is coming out this week.
It's such a gorgeous game, right?
Gorgeous game. And I feel like the more and more of these types of titles are coming out, and I just kind of love the cyberpunk vibe I get from this.
Yeah, it looks like
cool.
we're part of a big force that has to take down all of these mutations and these enemy types that have taken over this futuristic city. All of this speaks to me. I love this kind of design and this kind of art. I'm super fired up to play this. And what's great about Scarlet Nexus, again, it's going to take full advantage of the architecture. This was one of the games that Xbox showed off when they were talking about the Xbox Series X. But it's coming out this month. There is a demo out right now for Scarlet Nexus, and I love these mutations with like plant life growing all over them. That is just so cool. Slick, So action, role-playing experience with anime-style characters in a future city and magic and science kind of powers. I'm excited for Scarlet Nexus. I hope it delivers, Like Astral Chain, I didn't know what to expect of that, and I keep comparing it to it because of the kind of visual imprint of the games, and this might play totally different. But I wasn't expecting Astral Chain, even though it was made by one of my favorite developers. I didn't expect it to get under my skin, as much as it did. And I was playing that in the weirdest way possible. I was playing it in Scotland on a bus trip across the country on the Switch handheld. You know, I didn't even have it on a television or anything, and I was like, "What? This is so beautiful." You know, meanwhile the Scottish countryside is whipping by. Such an incredible
I feel like
game.
we're living in a really interesting these next few years. I think we all have to look out for the new IPs.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the new IPs
right.
will hit us out of nowhere because we've been getting so much of the same in the last 10 years. You know, a lot of the sequels and a lot of developers not wanting to put risk into creating a new IP, but they're slowly starting to come out. And games like Astral Chain and games like, you know, I mean, even think about indie games too, like Hades and Celeste, that just kind of hit me out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Just being complete Game of the Year contenders. So you always got to keep an eye out and see what's coming.
Yeah, and then the other rumor around Bandai Namco is, of course, that Elden Ring is going to make an appearance over the next little while. So we'll definitely be talking about that
Vic,
if it does.
Don't get me excited. Don't get me excited. This whole pandemic has been the Soulsborne pandemic for me as far as gaming. So I've been playing each and every one of the games, and I've been loving them. And I've only got 2 more to go. I think all I have to finish is Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro.
Dude, wait till you get Returnal. You just got your PlayStation 5 yesterday. We're going to be playing a game on it, but wait till you play Returnal.
Okay.
And Ratchet is gorgeous, but it also, and I reviewed it yesterday, it also has a little bit of that safety, familiarity kind of, vibe around it. You know, it's beautiful and it's more expansive than ever, but it is a safer type of choice, which is really kind of what you were just talking about there. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go full screen, and I've got a review of Bob Odenkirk's Nobody. I just had a chance to check out Nobody today, and it's produced by some of the folks that make the John Wick movies. It's another one of these films where we've got an older protagonist dealing with sort of criminal underbelly, and we get to discover a little bit more of why this person has a particular set of skills to take out all kinds of scumbags in this really fantastic film. There was a moment midway through the film, and I don't want to spoil it. This is a non-spoilery review. I know a lot of you have seen it already because it was available to watch in some theaters and on some digital platforms a little while ago. But there was a moment in this movie where I just went, oh my God, this is fantastic. What a freaking cool film. And it's a great examination of a person that is, almost Batman-esque. There's another side to this character that he doesn't want to let. It's like a beast within him that he's trying to kind of subvert and trying to find a way back to normalcy, and he covets that. And it was a really cool performance by Odenkirk, who looks incredibly capable, as you can see in some of these clips from the trailer here. He's clearly been working out and working with stunt people and pulling off these moves incredibly well. So all of that delivers, but I think what's really interesting is the subtleties and the nuance in the way that he stacks all of the beats for the character together, and he gives something that you actually really care about this person. And of course, he's an incredibly funny actor who's done tons of great work over the years, so he does play to those strengths. And there's other characters in here, like the big, Russian mob boss guy that have some interesting subtleties and interesting colors to the types of people that they are. And so there is this, fairly consistent stream of surprise. And of course, the bullets are flying everywhere, so you've got a lot of action delight watching this as well. If you happen to be a fan of action films, and I suspect if you like EP, you probably are. And so I came away with a ton of respect. I know that this is a crowded genre. I know that Liam Neeson has kind of owned this space for a long time and made tons of money being the old guy that still kicks ass, and then Keanu Reeves got in there. Tom Cruise is quickly becoming that guy as he keeps making Mission Impossible movies. But now we got to make room for Bob Odenkirk, of all people. The guy is he's terrific in this movie, and the film, it really does work. And so I don't want to spoil, why he's such a badass, but he is, and he's a convincing badass, and the movie delivers. And you also get some great little beats from Christopher Lloyd. It's your kids, Marty! And you also get RZA is in this thing as well. It is, absolutely worth your time. I'm going to give Nobody an 8 out of 10. And we have one other game to hit, and I think this has been available already, but this is the opposite of a dystopia. This one is called Alba, a wildlife adventure, and it's from Us2. And Us2, what was they've made some pretty damn cool games. Let me just look that up right now.
Yeah, I looked at this. I think this game was also on early access.
Right.
And really beautiful, very jolly game. I mean, I've looked at a few gameplay clips, and a lot of people were saying how great of a title this is during a pandemic, because it's very kind of bright, colorful, cheerful. You got to look out. It kind of reminds me of I know that game was a little bit darker, but I don't know if you remember a game called Last Day of June, I believe it was. It was an indie title.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, this is the Monument Valley guys. This is the people that have been working in the mobile space for a long time. But it's got a little bit of an Animal Crossing kind of vibe, and you can go off and take photographs of different creatures and stuff out there. So it has a sense of the Pokemon Snap kind of idea.
Yeah.
And they also made a really cool Apple Arcade game called Assemble with Care, where there was a story being told, and you played this person that fixes objects that have meaning to each of the individuals. So this is a very thoughtful developer, and I think this game, which is I think it is just launching on the Switch right now, or this week. Yeah. It feels like a very, very good fit for it. It looks a little bit like a short hike, but there's some assembly and some character study and lots of different wildlife to go and examine and stuff. Different kind of game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, we need more bright, happy games, and these are the type of indie titles you always want to look out for, because they can come out of nowhere and just shock the world. And I love it when developers are trying something new, trying something a little bit different.
Yeah.
As far as storytelling.
We've run the gamut, man. We started with a dystopian war game set 20 years in the future, playing with the tinderbox that actually really exists in the world right now. Freaks us out. We've got giant robot autonomous machine gun toting dogs in Battlefield, and in Alba, wildlife adventure, we're taking pictures of ducks, right?
Yeah. No, this is
some for everybody.
Exactly. That's the beauty. It's the beauty of gaming.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this rundown, Behr. You are the best, and thank you all for watching this episode. We are going to see you very soon, and until then, play forever.